guys, welcome to part 2 of my series where we're working on simulated car parts. We're going to make a rocker panel. Last week we did a kick panel repair, and this week we'll be playing with the doming or dopping punch set. Follow along. Thanks for watching. Before we get to the star of this week's episode, we're going to play with the doming punch set or dopping punch set. You can see I tried using it here last week and it didn't quite work the way I thought it did. So let me show you how it's supposed to work, and then we'll get on to this English wheel. I gotta admit, I don't think this thing's quite going to work the way I had hoped it would. I was hoping to be able to put like a bead in a piece of metal, and it doesn't do what I want it to do. And the reason for that is that each of these domes in this backing block is strictly a dome, like it's strictly a circle, and there's no groove that you can use to beat the metal into. Now you could take something like this, I guess, and make a groove block and then use the punch to put a bead in, but I think you're never going to be able to get a smooth finish. It's just not going to do what I wanted it to do. Likewise, I was hoping to be able to make custom shaped parts, like a teardrop shape bump, that kind of thing. And I guess if we took a shot bag, and maybe we'll try that a little later, we could probably do something like that with these punches as well. But the way they're supposed to work, the way it's designed to work, is take something like this, a disc. It's not perfectly round, I just kind of hacked it out quickly and touched it up with a file. It's a piece of the steel that we've been working on. We find a suitably sized, that doesn't look too bad. We take our punch, our dead blow hammer, and we beat it into submission. Now, this doesn't do exactly what I was hoping it was going to do, but man, that's got some potential. I think we could probably use that. If you had a knob that you wanted to make a cover for, like a control knob on something, that would make a really nice control cover. Just glue that to a Bakelite knob, kind of a finish. Of course, it needs to be filed down and would have to be painted. Doing my research online, where I found these get used a lot is in the jewelry making hobby, and well, I gotta be honest, that's not anything that I'm interested in getting into, but that's how these work. Now let's get on to the main part of the show. Well, let's see if we can get this English wheel to cooperate. What we're going to do is build a rocker panel, and this is going to be a patch panel that we would cut in. So in my mind, and that's a scary place to be sometimes, we're going to have a pinch weld followed by the door sill, followed by a sharp edge that is going to then come down like this. But the problem that we have is that I would like to put a little bit of a bow to it so that we can fit the vehicle. Not all vehicles are straight, and definitely we want to be able to do that. Now, the English wheel is capable of doing much of this. However, I think what we're going to do is make a patch panel rather than a replacement panel. So instead of doing a pinch weld and a door sill, followed by the rocker panel that rolls down there, I think what we're going to say is that our door sill and pinch weld are in decent shape. Or if they weren't, we could easily make that up. As you saw, it wasn't difficult to make up an angle piece that could be welded in there nice and flat. This is going to be the tricky part because I want to put a bit of a bend to this. I want to have, helps if I draw a decent line. If the paper doesn't move, let me hold it down with one hand and draw a picture. I want to put a slight curve to the rocker panel. And with the English wheel, we are capable of doing just that. So I'm thinking that this top angle is going to start off basically being straight, and I'm going to say that is going to be a nice radius for our door sill. This piece here we're going to do on the English wheel, followed by this we're going to use the shrinker stretcher and the English wheel. Hopefully this works. We're kind of doing a rinse and repeat of what we did at the beginning of the video, making the L angles. This time we're going to bend down and use the radius of the table. So that is the top of our door sill. This is still a little bit open, but that's all right. That can be tweaked if we were going to be attaching this to a car. Now we need to turn that into that. This is our English wheel, and essentially what it is a crush point. You got a small wheel and that has a bit of a crown. There's differing radius crowns depending which one we want to use. This one here is pretty much flat. I think this one here, it's got a little bit of a crown to it. Again, you've got different dies for different crowns, and this is the one I've chosen to use, not because of any knowledge, it's just we're trying to make a fairly abrupt turn. We may need to get this one in play. To get the sharpness in our bend, we may have to go to a tighter die. Using the English wheel with the dome, it will bend or it displaces the metal in two directions. We were going to get this and we're going to get this. To eliminate one direction of our crown so that we only end up with a side-to-side bend instead of our forward and backward, or we can put a strip of inner tube around this upper wheel, and that will eliminate one direction of our bend. Got a car inner tube that I picked up. I'll slice out a piece. We'll be able to put it over that. And if we find that we're still getting a little bit of bi-directional, we can always add another layer. Let me cut that out, put it on here, and then we'll continue on with our little experiment. There's our rubber strap around the outside of that wheel. Let's see if we can get this wheel to pop back up in place. Now I want to put a mark on our piece to kind of tell me where to start the bend and where to end the bend. So basically we want to put our shape in that kind of an area. Well, let's see what we can do. We slide the workpiece in and we turn our adjuster. Put a little bit of tension on it. Tighten the knob. So now what we're going to do is just work this back and forth. We don't really want to go off the ends. Okay, put a little more tension on it. Keep that rubber strap centered. And we're falling off. As you can see, we're starting to get a nice little bend to this. Keep that rubber strap on. See how we're doing compared to our template. Okay, looking at it, I think we want to come up a little bit closer to our line, start our bend. We're starting to get a fairly decent roll happening here. Show you the back side. The top will need to roll over just a little bit further, so kind of open a bit, but that's something that can be tweaked afterwards. And we're starting to get our good roll happening here. Continue to roll down the panel a little bit further and get it just a little bit tighter in this initial bend. Just a little bit more tension. That is kind of amazing. Again, this top lip is a little bit sprung out. That is something we could tweak as we installed this panel. But overall, our shape is good. We're a little on the long side, but I knew that that was going to happen, and I hadn't decided how we were going to deal with that bottom lip. Again, if we were actually installing this rocker panel on a vehicle, we could very easily buzz that off. Next thing we want to do is we want to take that rubber strap off, and we want to put a little bit of a dome this way on the panel so that we can fit the shape of our imaginary vehicle a little better. Let me take things apart here, get that rubber strap off, and then we'll start doing a little bit of English wheeling to get a little bit more shape to it. So remember, now that we don't have the rubber on here, I've got it just held up above, we're expanding in both directions. So we'll be expanding this way as well as forward and back. So we really only want to put the expansion in the middle. I've got a little bit of doming to it, but not a whole lot. I'm going to fire up the shrinker and just pull a little bit on this flange and see if we can maybe pull these sides in just a little bit. And we'll get this to follow suit. And I don't think we're going to worry about this lower part. Got a little bit of stretch done at the front and the back. Now, of course, if this were a real rocker panel, it probably would be a couple feet long. But I would like to get just a little bit more doming happening in this middle section, kind of towards the top, to match what we've done here shape-wise. one thing to keep in mind with this, the steering direction is a little bit different. I can see that it's pulling further this way, so you've got to put some thought into it when you're doing the actual steering. There we go. I don't know how well that shows up for you guys, but I'm starting to see a nice little bit of doming happen there. I want to roll that doming just a bit further down into our bend. Without having an actual vehicle to try this to, this is really just an experiment to see how well things go. A demonstration to show you guys how we can take a flat piece of steel and both put a bend on it this way as well as this way, and how we go about doing that. So I think we're going to call that part a success. I think we're going to call that a pretty decent fit. Definitely, if we were attaching this to a real vehicle, we would give this flange a little bit more of a tweak. We might bend this up a little bit. We're going to trim this off. Whatever we got to do to make it fit perfectly. But you can see the tools that it takes to make a rocker panel. It's not terribly difficult. Really, this has only taken me 15 minutes to knock out, maybe 20 minutes to knock out. And part of that complication was I had to get a second inner tube because the first one was too small. But that's what I was hoping to accomplish for today. Well, guys, I think we're going to call that one a success. Merch in the links down below if you're interested in supporting the channel. And if you got this far, maybe consider doing one of those like things. If you haven't already done so, how about a subscription? Doesn't cost you anything. Maybe ring that bell icon, and we'll catch you guys in the next mess. Thanks a lot for watching.